All right, everyone, welcome. Today, we are going to unpack a really dark industrial reimagining of one of literature's most famous stories. It's a version that takes the idea of spiritual salvation and swaps it for something way more modern and, honestly, a lot more terrifying.
So let's just dive right into this question, because it gets right to the heart of a pretty mysterious 19th century text known as Henoch, a Prussian tragedy. It completely flips the script on the classic tale of a man making a deal with the devil. It asks, what if the ultimate temptation isn't pleasure or power in the usual sense, but industrial progress itself?
So, what we're looking at here are two versions of the exact same legend, but with two totally different goals. Goethe's Faust, the one we all know, is all about the restless individual's soul, just striving for that one moment of pure, total satisfaction. But its Prussian twin, this character named Henoch, he's on a quest to perfect humanity itself through a cold, calculated, systemic overhaul. So here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to start up in the heavens, then we'll meet our two very different heroes. We'll look at the dark bargains they make, see the tragic fallout, and finally, we'll compare their absolutely shocking conclusions. Okay, so let's kick things off by really nailing down the core idea that separates these two works, because believe me, it is a total game changer. Right, so in this Prussian version, here is the key twist. Chasing after technological knowledge doesn't lead to some kind of grand enlightenment. No. Instead, that knowledge acts almost like a poison, systematically replacing the natural world with this cold, artificial, machine-like reality. And this split, it starts right at the very top, in how each story imagines what heaven is even like. One is this place of incredible harmony. The other is a place of chilling mechanical order. Now this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at the contrast. Goethe's heaven is bright, it's optimistic, it's run by a pretty chatty, fatherly kind of lord. But in the Prussian version, heaven is called the Crystal Chancery, and it's basically a terrifying celestial military headquarters. The deity is silent, distant, and the adversary isn't some charming rogue. He's a legalistic prosecutor who literally argues that humanity is a biological error. And this is the definition of the Iron Heaven. I mean, forget about angels singing hymns about nature's beauty. In this place, you have celestial wheels performing a mathematical dissonance, a kind of mechanical grinding chant about how unstable free will is. It's divine order completely replaced by administrative terror. Okay, so you've got these two totally opposed heavens. It only makes sense they would produce two very different heroes, right? Both of these men want to go beyond human limits, but they want to do it for completely opposite reasons. So Faust is the ultimate individual. He's a seeker driven by this bottomless pit of desire for personal experience. He wants to feel it all. Henoch, on the other hand, he's more like a scientist. He looks at humanity's flaws, what he calls our biological fragility, and he feels this moral duty to fix us with technology and systems. His ambition has nothing to do with personal gain. It's this dangerous obsession with improving the human condition using artificial means. He doesn't think he's sinning. He actually believes he's negotiating a treaty for the betterment of all mankind, to save us all from what he calls a logical purge. So this huge difference in what drives them, well, it naturally leads to two completely different kinds of deals with the supernatural. Faust gets a ticket to all the worldly pleasure he can handle. Henoch gets a blueprint for industrial domination. So instead of Mephistopheles showing up offering parties and romance, this fallen watcher Azazel basically hands Enoch a three-step instruction manual for total control. First, astronomy, to map the entire system. Second, metallurgy, to build the tools of power. And third, magic, which here is really a metaphor for advanced technology, the aether engines of state control. At the end of the day, this pact is a powerful metaphor for how the 19th century embraced industrial and military tech. The story is basically a critique of this whole shift, arguing that once you reduce the universe to a machine, you inevitably use that knowledge to build weapons and systems of control. So now we get to the human cost of this pact, and we can see it by comparing the tragic female figures in each story. In both of them, an innocent woman is destroyed, but the reason she's destroyed tells you everything you need to know about the story's warning. In the classic tale, Gretchen's tragedy is, well, it's deeply personal. She's seduced, she's abandoned, and her downfall comes from social pressure, from guilt, from sin. It's a tragedy of the heart. But in the Prussian version, Sophia's tragedy is systemic. She isn't destroyed by shame. She is literally destroyed by the knowledge itself. Henneck tries to elevate her by showing her the cold, mathematical truth of the universe, and this revelation, it acts like a poison. And this is what the text actually calls epistemological collapse. The core idea here is that the alien light of this cold, scientific truth is just toxic to the human soul. Sophia's death becomes a symbol for the death of the entire pre-industrial world, clearing the way for the machine to rise. All right, let's move on to the endings and see how these two very different paths conclude. As you can probably guess by now, it's in dramatically opposite ways. One man's soul is saved, the other is basically filed away. Goethe's Faust gets saved, his constant striving redeems him, and his soul ascends to heaven. But Hennock, he gets a twisted kind of immortality. He wins, but his prize is being translated into the iron heaven, not as its master, but as its immortal celestial scribe, forever filing away the details of the universe. And this absolutely chilling outcome has a name: synchronization. Hennock gets total knowledge and immortality, but only by losing his humanity and becoming just another component in the system, a single gear in the great machine, forever recording the weights and measures of a dying world. So, what are we supposed to take away from this dark allegory? Well, the text leaves us with 3 pretty critical warnings about the nature of progress. And these points make for a powerful critique. First, that if you reveal the gears of the universe to people, they'll end up worshiping the technology itself. Second, that anytime you try to fix humanity with systems, you usually just end up stripping our humanity away. And finally, and this is the big one, that the worst possible fate isn't hellfire, but just becoming a data point, perfectly synchronized with the machine. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This was a 19th century text warning about the rise of the industrial state, but its central question feels more relevant today than ever before. In our own world of data and algorithms, in our own quest for efficiency and perfection, what are we really bargaining for?